All right, boys, folks, the chat's already full of characters. People are fired up, I can tell, which is what we like to see, and not surprising. But we've got a good old fashioned meltdown pod like that. I don't. There's no reason to get on here and talk about what needs to, what can turn around if this team can be good. No, it's over. The season's over. This team stinks. It's somehow worse than last year's team, which I didn't think was possible. And things are bad. And like, I have tons of takes. I know you guys have tons of takes. I don't specifically like, I think there's ways to blame one person or this player or these players or these coaches. Like, I truly think there's a lot of blame to be thrown around. And yeah, I don't know. So I want to kick it to one of you guys, get it started, give me your thoughts, and then we can just kind of go from there. AB is just rolling around over there. There he is.
Yeah.
Well, there was a fan on. I feared that it was just clogging up my entire microphone, so hopefully I sound a little clearer now.
I think obviously a lot of our worries preseason kind of came to fruition. Obviously, they added a lot of guys, and it's tough. I feel like it's tough to say no to some of the top talent in the portal. Like, how do you say no to an AJ Storrs averaging 17, 18 at a Big Ten school, all Big Ten guy, Rylan Griffin, who's starting on a Final Four team, nailing a bunch of threes. We talked about needing wings. Like, that's literally all we talked about. Wings. We go get AJ Storr, Rylan, and we talked about the guys' minutes going down. Juan, KJ, Hunter, maybe so they can be more effective. But honestly, it's tough to really be mad at those guys, Juan and KJ. I know they haven't really improved or gotten better as times went on. Most people, they develop and get better at Kansas, but those guys have it. And it's tough to really be mad at them when I have no clue who's going to play over them. Like, you watch AJ Storr, and that's a guy who needed the ball in his hands at Wisconsin his whole college career. When that guy touches the ball, it's immediately going up, or he's putting it on the ground and trying to drive, and he loses it. So to me, it's a lot of it's on the staff. They've continuously missed in the portal, on the recruiting trail. They've gotten 5-stars that are gone after 1 year, and not in a good way. Like, going to other schools. The portal's been terrible. They go Arterio Morris. They go Nick Timberlake, who gets to Lawrence and literally didn't put up any shots. He just sat in his dorm room and didn't put in any work at all, got paid, and he was good. No fucking clue what Rylan and AJ are doing. Hunter Dickinson, I mean, AB, me and you went live on the pod 0.7 seconds after he announced. That entire season felt like it relied and not. Like, you lose Jay Will, you lose Grady, and that team needed a big. We get Hunter, and it felt like, holy fuck, we could win another natty within the next few years, because he's going to be here 2 more years. And it's been 2 of the worst years in Bill Self's, I was going to say school history, but at least Bill Self's era. They're going to be worse than a 4 for the first time in 25 years. And I know this is very, very spoiled. Sounds very spoiled, but this is absolutely the most embarrassed I've been in my lifetime as a Kansas basketball fan. And I understand, like, having a team that maybe isn't talented some year, but for them to just not give a single fuck after getting blasted against Utah, embarrassing losses at home against West Virginia, where they're favored by 14, up by 6 going to the line for 2 against Houston, like some historic losses, some historic meltdowns, and you get smoked against Utah, and you literally, like, last night was throwing in the towel to me. Like, yeah, I wasn't feeling great after Utah, but you would think they come out with some energy against BYU. And that was the most embarrassing showing I've ever seen from a KU team in my life. I swear, like, TCU and shit with Withy in them when Bill said Topeka YMCA, yeah, that was terrible. But last night is genuinely not giving a single, like, they didn't care. For 40 straight minutes, they got beat by 40.
And AB, I want to give you a second to rant too, but like, to that point, what fired me up about it is they talked about it for like 2 weeks straight. Oh, we just got to care more. There's got to be more energy. We got to care. Nobody cared. Like,
No.
crazy to talk about that and then just come out literally in slow motion. Like, our offense moves at a pace that is so demoralizing, just so boring to watch. And AB, you tweeted it or you texted, I can't even remember, but like, Auburn, Alabama, they're playing a different sport. It's
Oh
just,
my
Yeah,
God.
AB tweeted that, and I was like, God, yeah.
and so I don't know, AB, I want to give you the floor a little bit because honestly, me and you argued all offseason. I said there's no way, Bill. I said you got to get Hunter back because KJ's not leaving, but there is no way Bill runs it back doing exactly what he did last year. And that is exactly what he did. Almost worse. It has actually is. I don't know. I don't get it. I did not think.
It is absolutely worse.
I did not think Bill Self would accept this, but he is going down with starting the 3 big. It's crazy. But anyway.
Well, the other thing was they started at 3 bigs and they gave up 4 offensive rebounds in like the first 5 minutes of the game, which was really cool to see.
It's not even a good defensive lineup either. Like, that's what's driving me insane.
But I'll go to Hunter and I'll say this flatly: fuck that guy. I do not like him. I don't care what his stats say. I know the stats will not back me up on this take. I can't fucking stand watching that guy play basketball, man. I really can't do it. I mean, how many times is he going to catch the ball to start the offense and take one dribble and pick it up 30 feet from the rim and then act lost and confused?
I think and Ames, when he didn't go after that loose ball and they kicked it out and hit a 3 when the game was close, that was kind of it for me.
Yep. It's just there's no effort. His 20 and 10 that'll put up every night looks great in the stat sheet, but it's always the quietest 20 and 10. It's never a 20 and 10 in the final 5 minutes when you need buckets late. He's never doing what fucking David McCormick did in the 2022 championship.
That's my problem with Hunter is
they run an offense from him and he has no killer instinct. So when it comes down to, and not that we have a lot of games that come to crunch time nowadays, but when it does, we still have the same question: whose hands do we want the ball in? I don't want it in his. But then who else? It's a disaster. It really is. But I mean, the whole senior class. Some of the quotes that we see after every game, where it's, "Oh, we just really struggled communicating on defense and switching pick and rolls." Bill Self has strictly run switch 5 for like a decade now. Like how do guys that have been here for 5 years not know how to do that and communicate through it? It's the same core. They're always talking about not having energy on the road in rivalry games. Or I think Bill said it 5 times. He hasn't done a good enough job of getting them to understand what it's going to take to win. Part of that sure can be on Bill, but what are we doing? We're literally the most experienced team in the country. And we're struggling with things that a fucking Calipari freshman team would struggle with before Christmas.
That is something Calipari would have said about a young Kentucky team. Is they just don't know how to win yet. Well, these guys are 30.
Right. And on this, while I'm on it with Bill, and I'm sure we'll get to him more later, I'm so sick of and Ryan, you tweeted this last week. I'm sick of the jokes and I'm sick of the smiles after getting smoked. What happened to tearing into the guys?
Yes.
No, he's gotten soft.
Is it Portal? Is it like he doesn't want to hurt feelings and wants to he's been dialed back a little bit? But what happened to calling these guys soft? That was a yearly occurrence, and now he's laughing and blaming fruit and laughing at why the microphones are turned the wrong way. It's just like
that's why I feel like he's kind of thrown in the towel. I feel like when he said he can't get them to play a certain way last week, when you're 2 weeks away from March, it's like this season has. I obviously have zero expectation. There's no hope for the rest of the season. I don't even care to talk about seed lines because it doesn't matter. They're not winning a tournament game, and this is the worst KU team of my lifetime. But that's what drives me crazy is the seniors. You have KJ and Juan who were on the national title team. One of them started. One of them obviously didn't play big time minutes, but they were in on the final play. KJ, they've been here for that long. Hunter Dickinson has been in college forever. He's been here for a couple of years. He's always talking about the tradition and history at Kansas and how after certain games, that's not Kansas basketball and after shit like that. You think he's he'd be motivated and he'd play hard and he'd care way more than he does. And then Zeke's a senior. So you're starting 4 seniors, the guys that have been around for a long time, and they simply just don't care. Like I honestly don't see how you don't care when last year was so embarrassing, and Bill Self looks dead in the eye of the media and says, I've been looking forward to next year. Mm-hmm. And then the guys that made him feel that way are all playing 30 plus minutes a night the next season. How the fuck do you let that? He literally looked at the media and the fans and said, this will never happen again at Kansas. And they got worse. I mean, maybe 2 times worse.
He said he's going to take us to another level 2 years ago. And it is certainly another level.
Doubled down at late night, too, when he said this is going to be a roster that makes you guys proud.
and like the thing is, we all were happy with what he did in the offseason. And I think I even said, like, there's no way we will just continuously miss on guys. And I don't know if it's missing or, like, I don't know if it's evaluating talent poorly and not identifying the guys that'll fit in our system the right way. But also, these guys were good where they came from. So what is happening when they come to Kansas and all of a sudden are AJ Storr is unplayable. That guy's the worst player on the court every time he steps on the floor, and he was an all Big Ten player. So what has happened? That is not just these guys. Like, that's why they don't care. This team doesn't care. I don't think this team likes each other. They have given up. But I also don't think you can just put it all on, oh, they don't care. Like, there's so much more to it than I can't talk. There is so much more to it because they also just aren't playing good. Like, even if they were not caring enough, you'd think these guys would improve throughout the season. Like, you're just practicing every day. Like, why are guys developing so poorly? Why are they getting worse when they come to Kansas? That's my biggest concern about moving forward in this era is, like, do we have to change our whole mindset and give up on the portal? Or do we need to look ourselves in the mirror and say, hey, we need to adjust as coaches because we can't just keep coaching think about how many we did? I don't know.
Think about how many first-year guys come here and just don't pan out. Obviously, there's some here and there that do work. I mean, Grady's one and done. Furphy, freshmen go one and done. But a lot of even top recruits and first-year transfers have not been good. I mean, I was tweeting about the transfers last year and talked about it before, but Malik was good. But he had to sit out a year. Diedrich was the same. Since they changed the rule and you can play first year, how many really have worked? I mean, you could say Hunter, I guess, because he still puts up numbers, but obviously the results as a team haven't been great. Kevin, I don't know if he quit on the team or not, but he was solid, but that felt like one that was guaranteed to work.
Yeah, like he was hypocritical of me. But he was an example of a guy that fit Bill Self's style. Whereas, like, Rylan Griffin, awesome player, but he's coming from a place that chucks every possession and doesn't emphasize defense. So, like, to me, I was always a little concerned about how Rylan may fit in with Self style. I didn't think it could possibly go this poorly, but
that's why, like, honestly, in the off season, when we land all the guys we landed, how many Kansas fans out there off the top of your head do you think still were insanely worried? Or, like, obviously AB, we talked about the trio still playing together, but we thought their minutes would go down. Like, how many Kansas fans were upset with the haul we got in the portal? Like, how can you not get excited about AJ Storr? How can you not get excited about Rylan? And so I guess, like, do we even get excited after they land top talent in the portal going forward? And how do you say no to that? Like, how do you say no to him? And we're still going to get guys like people. I've heard people say, like, people aren't going to come here anymore because they don't turn into pros. They don't develop. We have a fuck ton of money, dude. That's going to land players in general. Like, so I don't know. I told myself last night, like, I just can't get excited about getting guys anymore. Even freshmen. Like I am excited about Darren Peterson, but there's a lot of 5-stars we've got, like Bryce.
That's what
Thompson,
I was about to bring up. Like, it's not
El
just
Marco.
a first-year transfer portal thing where the guys aren't hitting. It's been a thing with Bill Self since one and dones became a thing. How many top recruits of him have just underwhelmed? Cliff, Kelly for a while. I mean, I'm not going to go down the whole
That's
list.
The thing with even Malik Newman
recruiting, but it's like we've had many 5-stars, and I know Peterson. I think Peterson's going to be awesome. And none of us would be surprised if he was underwhelming, because how many freshmen have we had come in and be stars? 2?
Yeah,
Wiggins and Josh.
They've,
Embiid, I guess, but he was hurt. But those are like superstars.
Was put into the best situation ever. Like,
and Wiggins was quite literally the best prospect in 10 years.
Yeah.
Josh played so hard, and like you could never be upset with him. And that's why this team just drives me fucking crazy, because it's not hard to try or care, especially at a place like Kansas. When you get embarrassed last year, Bill calls you out to the media. That's why, like, I'll always love Josh, and that's probably be my favorite one and done we've had, because he played so fucking hard. Even like in the Oregon game, it killed me to see that dude get in foul trouble early on some kind of bogus calls. But that guy cared as much as anyone. It felt like he got it at Kansas. Like he knew what the tradition was about and the history. And
I can't believe
I don't know. Like even I was just talking about transfers, like even Malik, honestly, and Remy, those guys, I feel like it's very fortunate that it did work out for them here. Remember how stinky they were? I mean, Malik didn't do much until when?
Year too. Yeah, Malik got good.
When did Malik get going? I mean, it was obviously he was like a different person in March. It was like one of the most electric March I've ever seen from a KU player. But I know former, like Bill was very, very hard on Malik. Like, so I guess some of the stuff now has to do with just Bill and the players, not like supposedly. I mean, KJ and DeJuan obviously will still listen to Bill and they know exactly what he wants, but I think the other guys are having a tough time buying in. Back in the day, I feel like when you weren't getting paid and you couldn't really go anywhere without sitting out a year, like you were probably going to listen to Bill and do what it took, because if not, you ain't going to play and your opportunities are going to be limited going forward. So I feel like a lot of it has to do with not wanting to be coached and not buying in. Like, but I'm still upset with the staff. Feels like they're getting old and they're just not adjusting with the times. And we talked about player development. Most of his best teams have been guys that have stuck around. You look at our last Natty where CB, Oates, Jay, Will, Dave, they all got embarrassed a year before, but they've been around multiple years. The next year they get tremendously better, win a Natty. And now how many of those guys are you going to have? I know DeJuan and KJ have been around for a long time, but going into the year, if I tell you guys that DeJuan and KJ are going to average about 10 points per game, you'd probably say yes, right? Like, yeah, that's going to happen. You need guys around them that can hoop. Like that's 40% of your lineup that isn't very gifted offensively. And so I don't think there's going to be players that stick around much anymore. And that's what worries me with Bill and this staff and winning at the level they were, because if you don't see playing time and you don't see the volume you want, you go to Northern Illinois and play, or wherever you want to go. Almost said Northern Iowa, but that would have got the boys on another tangent.
I'd rather watch Ali for Oakman hit that 3 20,000 times in a row than watch this year's team.
Dude, I get so angry. It was like, I don't even know why. It just like it's worse. It's worse when they just don't care. Like I don't even know. I'm at a loss for word. I cannot believe this season is happening like this. It seems impossible that we went backwards. And I don't know. I just sent Vern the link. I'm gonna have him come on because I do think it's interesting that like this team, I think, hates each other. Not hates, that's a strong word, but
strong words need to be used sometimes.
I missed it on Saturday, but I guess there was a sequence where Zeke hit the deck and literally no one helped him up besides a guy that's out for the season on the bench? I didn't see it.
Yeah. And that's one thing, because I want to.
Was it obvious they were trying not to help him up, or I don't know. It's hard for me to tell without watching.
It's one of those things where I'm not sure you even notice it if we aren't terrible. Like if we were a good team and we were having a solid season, I don't think anyone would have been like, "Whoa, why didn't everyone rush to help him up?" But
if we were a good team and having a good season, people would have been there to help him up.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. Is that a thing? Like, are past good teams? Do we storm to help guys up?
Get the last comment. Did you guys watch Vern's pod last night? Bri was in there just firing.
Yeah. Well, so what I was going to say, what I noticed about the bench last night is, and it was actually the one positive thing I took away. And I do, after Vern comes on, we can wrap up later in the episode talking about like next year a little bit. But one thing I did notice, Jamari McDowell, El Marco were by far the two most vocal, like locked in, excited guys on the bench. And that was the one positive thing I took away from it. It was like, hey, maybe there is a little bit of vintage Bill Self teams just sitting there on the bench ready to play next year. And I think we all know, we just spent 20 minutes talking about it. Bill Self is not going to just recreate new teams every year with a whole new lineup via the portal. It's just not going to work. So you have to have the Jamari McDowells, the El Marcos, and even some KJs. But you just don't need to play them all 35, 40 minutes.
If KJ was Jamari trailer minutes, it would be one of the most beloved players in the history of the program.
And that's the thing. Bill Self put Jamari out of the starting lineup.
Fucking Robinson.
Oh, I can't believe it.
That's what, maybe I sound soft and people will get mad at this, but part of me does feel bad for DeJuan and KJ because they are in spots that they shouldn't be in. Like, yes, they could have developed, but I feel like we came to the conclusion 2 years ago that they are what they are offensively. They're not gifted scorers, and now they're in spots where they're going to get just obliterated by the fans because they're playing 30 to 35 minutes, losing a ton of games. It's one of the worst teams we've had. But who do you play, Ern? Who do you play over DeJuan and KJ? Like, we asked about Storr and Rylan. Those two, like AJ, dude, Storr is Timberlake level. Like, Storr is literally, he's Timby. I don't know if he's been better than Nick Timberlake. At least Timby had some posters.
At least Timberlake liked the University of Kansas. That was kind of cool. At least it seemed that way on Twitter.
Timby was must-watch TV.
Yeah.
These guys falling all over the place, trying to do crazy dunks.
Well, people will never forget the side of the backboard in the Big 12 tournament last year that he hit.
Dude, I really didn't think we could get worse than Cincinnati Wednesday Big 12 tournament, losing by 20. We were worse
lost
last
by
night.
30 a week before that.
Dude. All right, so Vern, go ahead. But I also am curious on, like, I wanted to get your takes on the whole just the vibe of this team just not liking each other. I think it's been kind of a little bit evident, but then you put out some rumblings that maybe solidifies that. But like, what his background, I just noticed.
Hope.
Oh yeah, no. Just hoping and praying for some good news here. Maybe we'll be 3.5%. That'd be nice.
Aren't we all?
I don't. Maybe just a small one falls on my house.
Mm-hmm.
Cancels the tournament for y'all, puts me out of my misery. Too dark? No, it's just an asteroid.
It's time to be dark.
It is that dark. I don't think that the players, for the most part, I didn't write that the players don't like each other. It's that the players don't like the coaches.
Really?
And I don't think the coaches like the players. Yeah. No, that's the issue. Bill doesn't have the locker room. I think, and I wrote about this. There was a blow up after the Utah game. Like, look, that's fairly expected, right? Like, it probably should have happened 2 months ago.
I thought it was way too late for a blow up to happen. To me, that's got to happen after the Baylor game or even the Houston game. But the Baylor game to me,
blow up.
Yeah.
Too late to try to do team bonding. Like, what are we doing? The whole thing is like, because no one told, I know Bill's very like, right, don't worry about the mules, load the wagon. Like, he's kind of heads down. We're going to keep working on it. He says all the right things. But I'm like, can someone maybe give him a heads up that, like, his players are getting destroyed online and they're very online? Curtis Townsend's probably online. Maybe Curtis could do that because we know
probably
he's
online.
The most online. Mm-hmm. But I don't know that it's...
that picture of
I
him
think
on
it's most of the players not liking the coaches. Like, it is players versus coach, not players versus players.
So what is that, though? Because, like, let's say, like Zeke. Is Zeke frustrated with the coaches because of the style of play, because of who they're playing? Like, is Zeke or even other guys could be a guy like Rylan or Flory? Are they mad about rotations, who's playing, or is it just other factors?
Generally, look, I don't want to speak for players. My best guess and understanding is kind of like they just don't totally get what he wants. And, like Zeke's played, right? So it's like, why would Zeke have a problem? These guys aren't having fun. And so if they're getting chewed out or like, I think part of it was even like told that the guys, y'all don't like each other. You don't hold each other accountable. And that's part of what made him snap is like, actually, you have no idea. And like, how do you not know us at this point? But the gist has been like, you got Diggy Coy who play like 4 minutes and then 20. Rylan, 12 and then 23. It's been so inconsistent. They've been put in bad situations over and over and over again and unwilling to change because Bill's unwilling to change for good reason. So like that's I think probably players just like being like, what the fuck? Like, we're in February. Like, what is this guy doing? Like, I don't get him. The coaches are probably like, these guys are fucking up simple rotations. They don't remember plays. Like, they've all had chances. Mm-hmm. But one thing that I struggle with is like the lack of, it's just always Dewan, KJ, Hunter, and Zeke. Those guys fuck up too. And they don't get pulled quite like the other guys.
Long leash.
No.
Yeah.
The first year guys, obviously, they've had a short leash for a long time, it feels like, under Bill. Especially this year. Like, here's my thing, and maybe I'm wrong, but maybe early in the year, if you let these guys play through mistakes, maybe they're further along. And they bought in, and they know they can play through mistakes, and they're not nervous to make mistakes. Like, in the non-con against fucking Northern Colorado, whoever you're playing, why not let them play through a couple missed jumpers?
They fucked up in December so bad.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't see how you would have confidence rest of the year. And I think, that is an interesting point about just guys playing certain minutes, certain nights that I hadn't really thought about. Because you look at Saturday with Rylan, how he just didn't really play rest of the game. And then last night, he starts the three bigs, but not only that, he brought in Storr before Rylan, which I thought was weird. And I was like, dude, Rylan's got to be in the doghouse. But
like, these guys their heads in the portal. But like, what the fuck is he? Why is AJ Storr still playing?
That's what I like. It's funny how much my mindset has shifted. Early in the year, I'm like, you got to give Storr a longer leash. You got to play Storr more. And now I'm like, dude, credit to Bill, because I would never let AJ Storr see the floor if I were coaching this team.
He's trying to salvage this thing.
And it's so funny because I do think Bill has hit the point of like, well, got to try different things, got to do this, got to do this. But the funniest thing about it all is he refuses to try not playing certain guys so many minutes. Like, I'm at the point where I'd be okay if you took Dickinson out of the game. Play Flory at the 5 with KJ. Yeah. Like, let's just try something that doesn't involve the 3 guys that have been a part of the 2 worst seasons of the Bill Self era. But it's never that. It's how do we plug in a piece that doesn't fit with these 3, and it's just trying different types of pieces that don't fit. It is
and you go back
insane.
You go back to 23, the year after we won it all, you're still a 1 seed, and I know there's a bunch of NBA wings surrounding them, but you had Juan at the 1, you had KJ at the 5, and they were still 1. I know that year didn't end up how we wanted. Bill didn't get the coach, and we got the worst draw in tournament history, but we did get a 1 seed with those 2 starting. And yes, Grady was awesome, but he also had some growing pains here and there. Like, it's not like he was flat out incredible every single night. I know Jay Will was an All-American. But outside of that, like, who was really scoring it at an elite level for us that year?
Hold on. And actually, this is a funny, interesting point. I don't think that's our best 12 minutes of the season. But if you think about our best stretches of the season, that game, and then also you could argue the 3 games KJ was out. Like, the
offense was fucking good, y'all.
Dude.
And Iowa State, when KJ left a couple times, it felt like we were getting in a rhythm and making that game more interesting. And he's hurt. Like, he's obviously banged up, and Bill is just still trying to force him in there.
What was it? He played a guy with a separated shoulder. That's crazy. Again, like, what is he? Whenever Bill hits adversity, he just like goes back to this crutch of the other guys. But I'm laughing. Like, I just looked in conference play. This to me is crazy. Nick makes fun of me when I do this, so y'all can too. And people want me to melt down and talk food. I'll melt. We can melt.
Welcome to the Ain't No Seats chat. It's just people asking about dinner.
But when KJ, DeJuan, and Hunter play together in conference play, they have a negative plus-minus this year. And their offense is like in the 13th percentile of the country. But when DeJuan and Hunter are together, when KJ and Hunter are together, and the other 2 or the other 1 is off. So either DeJuan is off or KJ is off, 90th percentile offense, 91st percentile. So when 2 are on, 1 is off, 90th percentile offense. When all 3 are on, 13th percentile and a negative plus-minus. What the fuck? That's crazy.
It makes me sick that we had this conversation a year ago. And if us 4 dummies were able to at least sniff it out a little bit, how could the Hall of Fame coach, while he's still coaching, not even sniff it out?
Maybe. You know what? AB, you're on to something. Bill's got a zone defense with these 3 bigs. He's going to just start, like, maybe he's just working on some secret sauce for March.
That's what I was going to say last night. Games. Like, I'm at the point where if you want to roll out 3 bigs and play the stupidest 3-2 zone or 2-3 zone, like, just do it, but do something different. Don't just play the 3 bigs and then run the same shit and be the exact same team, just a worse version of a team that's already really, really bad.
Honestly, what seed were Danny and the Miracles? 6, 7, 6, right?
Who's Danny on this team?
Hunter.
DeWani?
All-American. Honestly, if I told you 3 before the year that we would be worse, would you guys have laughed?
No.
Yes.
I tried to tell you guys.
You didn't say we'd be worse. You just said we still wouldn't be good.
Right. But we're 2 times worse. Like, we're double bad.
I said it wouldn't be any different. Our offense the same fucking thing. It's just the faces are different. It's awful.
Like, who's worse? Who's worse, this team or the team last year in the tournament against Gonzaga with no McCullough?
Hunter Dickinson hit the right third of the backboard yesterday on a 1-foot put-back layup. How are you not supposed to laugh at it at this point?
Yeah, it is funny. A couple weeks ago, it would have been.
I hate that guy.
Dude.
Do your podcast to make a 2-minute video about picking up a call on your AirPods about how you're going to go to Kansas.
I'm like,
fucking dork.
All right, I'm not going to melt. Everyone's got their takes. Like,
I want to
want to melt. I want to get in the melt.
I was just gonna. Sorry.
Hold on. He's got a would you rather. I like a would you rather.
Would you rather have KU season right now or K-State season right now?
Probably KU, because it is so funny that K-State, like, they had a big NIL issue for a few years. They solved the NIL issue. They go out and think they have this incredible offseason and they still stink. Like, that's very funny. And then they gave their fans hope, only to walk into Death Valley, Utah, as we know, and get absolutely annihilated just like we did. So, I don't know. K-State's in a tough spot because, yikes.
Well, let me phrase it this way then. Would you rather live through or which seasons pissed you off more? KU football this past season or KU basketball this season? Because K-State basketball this year is having a very KU football type season. High expectations. They're all in. They suck earlier in the year, and then they just beat a bunch of good teams late, but they can't make the postseason because of the first half.
I agree. Like, Anger's football that season, I will never forgive that coaching staff.
Depression is basketball.
But basketball is like, it's depression, or it's just like truly is befuddling the right
it's
word?
It's confusing.
Yes, I cannot believe we are having, like you said, AB, we were having this conversation a year ago.
Yeah, that's why I think it's football, because like I've watched these guys play. It's the same core of guys as a year ago. Like, it doesn't really surprise me. Yeah, I'm surprised we're worse, and I know we were preseason 1, but we still were worried about them playing the same minutes they did, and we still hadn't really had many transfers pan out. Football, you had the expectations, talked about Big 12 title stuff, just the ways we lost, honestly. Like, when I think about the season, the first thing that pops in my head is the fumble against UNLV. Like, I can just see those guys hovering over the ball.
That's like the Nick Timberlake of KU football. The Marco Jackson back brick.
Wait, I have a would you rather, or not would you rather. I have a hypothetical, or I don't even know.
Go for it. Go.
This or that. Okay. What's more likely to happen? Bill Self wins another. I won't say wins another national title. I'll say Bill Self coaches in another national championship game, or he retires in the next 2 years. What's more
likely?
That's the easiest answer of ever.
He's retired.
Look at AB.
That's what makes this thing so sad.
I was waiting for a doozy, and Ryan just gave us
No, but I'm not sold on that.
I'm not 1,500 on the money line.
I'm not sold on that. Not sold on that.
Did Jerome Tang feed you that question? That feels
I'm
like
not sold on it. I'm not sold on it. I can go into my takes, but
you're not sold on the Bill retire?
I refuse to believe. I know Bill's been different this year.
Denial, huh?
But I refuse to believe that Bill Self would ever go out like this. There's no way he goes out like this. And like, I think next year is, so I guess maybe I should have said end of this year versus the rest of his career making another national title game, because I do think next year is like a show up or it's time to have the conversation. But I think there is something to,
I like you guys.
It's if there's 3 things in common with our struggles the last 2 years. Those 3 things are leaving. And I'm convinced that we can get back to being a lot better, and then anything can happen. So I'm just saying, like, if we come back next year, we suck again, then yes, you can all laugh
suck again.
This. But I still not
know, because then you'll be asking us the same question next year.
Over under. Can we do an over under on Self years?
Yes.
No, AB, because the 3 consistencies are leaving.
That's what I tried to tell them to do last year.
What would your 2 core pieces next year would be? What, Flory and DP?
Yeah, but I also
Flory's back.
No.
Vern, off the top of your head. Wait, what'd you ask him?
If Flory's back.
He said, is it a lock? I said, He said, is it a lock? It's not a lock.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, like,
they're watching the same shit we are.
What are the percentages one of Rylan or Storer back?
Low. Store.
And that's another thing I was going to ask you was, did you on the pod last night? I thought I heard you guys say something about like Bill keeps playing Store in the hopes that he could be back.
No, maybe like not suck. AJ Store is,
because I felt like he'd be 1 year here regardless.
Yeah,
so if he's playing him because of that, then
if Bill's bringing Store back, unless he's like coming in on a vet minimum, like
I don't know, man.
Zach Clements deal.
He's a pretty good.
But
he's a pretty good dribbler. He's a pretty good shooter. I wonder what he is for this year. Oh, dude, he's literally a movie character.
There's some crazy Store minutes or Store numbers, but like, I think Ryan is 1 foot out the door,
which sucks because I really.
Nate Oates is on line 1, man.
For the Kansas job or for Rylan Griffin?
Both, but for Rylan.
Dude.
AJ Store. Oh, he's gotten better defensively. KU is 21 points per 100 possessions. Worse with AJ Store. It'd be the bottom 1 percentile of on-off.
That's good.
Their numbers are down across the board. There's not one thing that's better. KU gives up a lot more offensive rebounds as well when he plays. So that's good.
Can I ask an off-the-wall question that's very specific?
Please, God.
Okay, so we've all talked about probably needing to revamp the coaching staff some way or another. And we've also, for the last 5 years, talked about who's going to coach when Bill Self's gone. I don't know that he makes the jump from Drake to Kansas head coach to head coach. Is there a chance that a guy like McCollum takes a head assistant role under Self with a coach to be named later in like 3 to 5 years whenever Bill calls it quits? That's how he gains his experience. That's how we get like how every other Blue Blood's done the hiring over the last 5 years is they just hire their head assistant. They hire someone who's been with the program.
Right,
I'm just thinking outside the box. This is where my mind gets at. We're down by 40 points with 3 minutes.
Ryan's gonna throw up.
Dude. Well, you know how I feel about hiring assistants, but like Ben McCollum, there ain't no way in hell that dude. His agent would be so fired if Ben McCollum took an assistant job because he can just keep coaching at Drake and we'll hire him when we need him.
No, he's gonna get
paid more here.
Watch for. I think the Iowa coach might retire.
Yeah.
They should.
But my question is, would you rather be the Iowa coach now or the KU coach in 3 years if that's promised? I know being
you gotta think about the egos these guys have. Like,
I know it's not realistic, but I'm just trying to be excited about something.
It's Golden or Oates. Golden or Oates. 2 options.
Oh, we need more time to separate Golden from the allegations that have been.
I thought they're gone.
You know, I feel like a Title IX like investigation's hard to like. I think though, like you don't have to have burden of proof or whatever, but when you're number 3 in the country, those things sometimes go away, which might mean he can do whatever it takes to get the job done. You need a coach who can operate in the gray.
I can't believe he's only 39. That is wild.
He's so young, dude. He's really good. Like he's the real deal.
And he is like, when you look at young coaches, I've done this deep dive before. There's not a lot of really elite young coaches. Like Bill Self, when he was hired in 2003, was truly the best possible hire when you talk about age, what he had accomplished, being at a major school. Yeah. Golden is one of the few guys that actually fits the criteria of being. Even Oates, I think, is like 50, isn't he?
On the dot, I think, yeah.
Yeah, so and Bill was in his late 30s when he got here.
It's Todd.
Todd. It would be rough timing to hire Todd Golden, I'll tell you that right now.
I mean, Travis will do his diligence, you hope, and I don't know what happened.
I don't want this, but that's an interesting.
If Bill's I got to say in it, Bill loves Chris Beard. But I was talking to this is a name drop. This is a flex, or it won't be a name drop, but someone like legitimately very high up in the NBA world. It's a weird flex to say. It's a fluke deal.
Kendrick Perkins.
No, but like a big time front office guy, and basically it was like we got into the same conversation, and he was like, "Look, I'm not." He also wanted to be like, I don't know what happened to Florida. Like, I don't think it was someone just vouching for his friend kind of deal. But he was like, I've known and watched Todd Golden for a while, and he was like legit. And then I was like, Golden or Oates? And he was like, you're pretty good with either of them. But so he was like, you're good. Both guys proven. But he was just raving about, I think. Like,
are we sure?
Golden as an
San Fran had some awesome teams. And
so I lived right
feel like
there.
It came out of nowhere.
I was watching those. Like, I lived right next to the San Francisco Stadium.
Did you get any minutes?
He was like 35. Oh,
Did you play?
Todd put me in because he's that good of a coach.
You were just guarding.
Yeah. I was like, no, it's Bill Self defense.
This is where I will lose my ever living shit.
I asked about Aaron Miles today.
Dude, I'm not opposed to Aaron Miles coming in like some sort of GM role or like.
We need to talk about that, by the way. GM.
I was looking up Duke's GM though. It seems like it's more of like a NIL broker deals type role, not an actual.
That's
GM.
Kind of what it takes, though.
Yeah, but our problem hasn't been deals. Our problem is getting the guys to play well. And identifying the right fits.
Bill's look, guys. KU, I wouldn't be shocked if they hire a GM, but Bill ain't giving up control
exactly
at all. No. So like someone's coming in to help fundraise and like make some deals.
I mean, do you think Vern or any of you? Bill has to be sitting on that sideline thinking like, man. Do I have the right coaches around me right now? Like, Bill is a competitive guy. He's a smart guy. I know he's stubborn, but he knows there's issues. And if it's not full, and I would bet it's not fully on Bill Self. I would bet a lot of it is staff and recruiting. And so, like, do you think Bill could make the hard decision this year and be like, hey, Townsy, Norm, you guys have been great.
I texted you a picture of Townsend from the game last night.
I tweeted about it. It's so funny. This is how I show photos.
Goat.
He's so good at it, dude.
I laugh.
One skill in life.
I love doing this every episode.
Wait, we started 3 bigs tonight? Here's a good hypothetical. AB, maybe it's not a good hypothetical. But here's a question. What's more likely to happen? KU wins a tournament game or Bill Self retires? What happens first?
Tournament game. I think first weekend. Well,
we're going to be –
we're
probably on the 6th line.
16.
We're probably, on the 6th line right now? Maybe.
Yeah, we have one win left on the schedule, boys. One win.
No.
Okay.
They're going to make us believe. They're going to make us believe at one point. We're going to be like, Bill's a genius.
We're looking at like a 7-10 game.
By 17.
I mean, I would hope you could at least compete with Colorado.
Because he thinks we can make a Final Four.
Kansas shut down Bryce Thompson, held him to 12 points.
Bryce Thompson
looking to hire Mike
2 for 14 from mid-range.
Right. Bryson last night joined us and he's like, I will say this, 6 games. And I was like, you're talking about KU football? What do we do? He was just like, no, the tournament. I was like, thanks, Brian.
Why not? Why can't they do it?
Nobody can talk themselves into a run better than me, but it ain't happening. No way. Okay. Can we go back?
Luck and DeJuan Harris and KJ Adams to develop a jump shot.
Easy as that. Can we go back to my original hypothetical that AB roasted me for and everyone laughed at? Let me change it a little bit. What's more likely? Bill Self retires in the next 2 years, or Bill Self is here another 5 years? What's more likely?
Just set an over-under.
This guy.
2.5?
Honestly.
Yeah.
What,
over under 2.5 more years for Bill Self.
After next season.
No, I'm counting like this year and next year. When I say within the next 2 years, I mean he will either retire end of this year or retire end of next year.
I honestly have a feeling he's done after this year. Maybe it's because I'm melting down, but I feel like maybe he's just had enough.
Are you Scoopy, B-turn?
No. But also DP coming next year could play a part of that. Maybe he would just stick around for, I don't know, man. I feel like he's got to be fed up with it.
I think he's furious.
That's why he's probably making jokes to the media because he is so pissed. Like he's trying.
He's trying to like salvage it, but because anything else he's gonna say is like the asteroid hitting. Like he's trying to salvage it however he can. But like I think he's fucking furious.
And I think that's also tough with Bill too, is he can't really be a dickhead like he was back in the day. Because back in the day as a player, if you weren't playing, what could you do? Sure, go transfer and go sit out a year and maybe not play. Now, if you're a dickhead to a player and they don't play, they're going to cry and leave. So, like,
they're going to be like,
that's why
you're still paying me. Fuck you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's why we talked about, maybe it was earlier in the pod or before the pod, how it feels like Bill's kind of gotten soft on us with how he talks about his teams to the media. So I don't know, maybe that has to do with it, but he definitely doesn't say some of the same things he used to say, like publicly calling them out. Like he
I still don't think Bill Self would ever go out like this. Yeah, I'm taking the over because I truly think he is.
Yeah,
he won't go out like this. He's too competitive of a guy. He has too much pride. So I'm taking the over because I think the new core, just change, not core, just different team next year, we will start to look more like the Kansas of old. So, like, I think if you see that happen, he's going to be here 5 years. If we suck, then yes, the under's going to hit because I think next year will be where he's fed up.
Do you guys have confidence in next year? Because, like, who's back?
Good question.
It'll be
we
better.
don't have to go with
that's what Flory and DP are
just a number.
That's kind of what I was saying earlier. Main pieces I would say are DP and Flory.
Right. But then it's like we're trusting a bunch of.
I want to know. I'm very interested. I'm sorry.
Beater never plays hypotheticals or takes
over
questions.
Under 2.5. I've commandeered this. I didn't want to do that. I'm sorry.
No. I'm bad at staying on topic.
So am I.
So we're counting this year in that number?
Yes.
Yeah.
So is he going to retire after next year or no?
Yeah, I think I'd go but I don't feel confident. And I just kind of what I was just saying is I don't know that if it's Flory and Peterson and El Marco and Jamari and then whoever else in the transfer portal, what evidence do we have to see that those guys from the transfer portal are going to come in and be actual fits or actual productive players right off the jump? Like, we're not going to get 2-3 years to develop these guys. It's going to have to be next year. So I'm just going to lean on that side because we've just seen it with so many one-year recruits and transfers now that I just can't. They're going to have to be a big part of the team, and I just don't know that I can side with that right now. I hope I'm wrong. And I think there's a better chance of me being wrong than the whole KJ Hunter DeJuan experience running it back because that's just silly. But I don't know. Like I said,
Tiller could be a decent one too. Just since he got here early and he'll have the whole year to develop and understand what Bill wants. So maybe Tiller, Flory, DP, and Vern, it sounded like you guys were talking highly of El Marco last night and Jamari and how they at least care. I'd rather have guys that care and love playing for Kansas than insanely skilled guys that just want the ball in their hands at all times and they don't mesh.
That's why I'm excited for next season a little bit. Obviously, one, because I'm so ready for a fresh look. But two, I think you're going to see a team, like out of the gates, I think we will not be good because it'll be a bunch of new guys playing together.
Yeah.
But it's going to be the first time in a while we see a Kansas team get better throughout the season, and that's
Aren't
what I'm
those the
excited
most
about.
fun?
Yes, and that's what Bill has always done.
Our baby boys grow up in front of our face. Would you rather KJ come back for another year, or
Impossible, right?
what were those K-State hot dogs called?
Oh, those looked good at the Big 12
emo,
tournament.
it had to be the emo dog, right? we
AB
did a
had
whole
it 8
segment on this.
in one day.
Well, we're about to run that back in about 3 weeks, boys. Be ready.
And we're going
I
to
just
finish
ordered
regular
dinner,
season
by the way.
4-1 and talk ourselves into winning the Big 12 tournament.
I would rather
can't
do
see.
anything with that K-State dog than have KJ Adams
It was
play
good?
32 minutes a year next year.
Anything
Wabash
with it?
Cannon Dog. Would you
Yeah,
rather?
Wabash
With
Cannon
it.
Dog. I would rather do anything the Wabash Cannon Dog wanted me to do than watch KJ Adams play 35 minutes a night again.
That's
This
so-
was gonna be good.
Dude, the John Does are about to unload in the comments.
I can't see him tonight, so if
Three-
they say anything fun, just throw it by me.
3 Cannon Dogs a day.
John Doe said
for a
LFG
year.
in all caps. Let's fucking go. Can you imagine?
Three Cannon Dogs a day for a year.
Yes.
What?
Well, no. Hold on. Let me backtrack a little because then I just wouldn't care as much about KU basketball, and I would help my digestive system out by not doing that.
Wow, so you'd rather have KJ? You want
Yeah.
KJ
Well,
back?
if it was for the basketball season,
Okay.
and it started on like
Yeah.
Champions Classic, I'll start there because the first game doesn't count.
Champions
But-
We're gonna
Classic.
have to. We're gonna have
Yeah.
to turn AB into like Ben Stiller on Dodgeball when he like shocks himself when he's trying to eat bad food with the hot dogs.
I want to keep doing
He's
it. I want more.
shoving Wabash Cannonball dogs down his.
Sure.
Would you
Goal
rather
it.
DeJuan, KJ, or Hunter back next year?
DeJuan,
Okay. KJ or Hunter?
KJ.
Hunter.
I fucking hate that guy. Hunter. KJ.
I want someone that plays
Then I
hard.
just said that I'd eat fucking Cannon dogs breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 5
Yeah, what would you do
minutes.
for Hunter to not come back?
I'm not going to say that live on air. I'll text it to
Two
you
at
later.
once? Two Wabashes at once?
You know the K-State fan that shoved a burrito up his butt?
That wouldn't happen.
All right, so I guess Hunter's
If you
back.
did that.
Well, no.
I think
Yeah.
I'd say KJ, someone that plays hard and cares. Over Hunter.
No, absolutely.
DeJuan would be my
absolutely
one.
not.
No,
Absolutely
because
not.
Flory is worse when he plays next to KJ, and all I care about right now
I didn't think about
is
that. I don't.
Darren Peterson and Flory being set up for success. And I think either way, the answer probably is DeJuan because I think KJ and Hunter.
So
just
Flory and Hunter would be together?
No, I think I'm saying I
go
want
with
DeJuan back
Yeah.
more than those other two because
I was saying Hunter between Hunter and KJ. I'd rather have DeJuan
Yeah.
for sure.
I would
I don't really
rather
have an
have
issue with
Hunter
DeJuan.
because we saw Hunter and Flory succeed for 3 games, and then Bill Self sat Flory after we played the best half of the season against Baylor in the first half. That was sick.
I'd rather have Justin Wesley than either of them.
What about what are your thoughts on the return of Diggy, possibly?
I like it.
I
I'm
like
gonna say
Diggy.
that right now. I
Well,
like
I'll pro
Diggy.
I
Diggy.
was
Love
I was
Diggy.
thinking last night, why not rest of the season just let Diggy bring the ball up and launch? What's it can't get worse. Just let guys fire threes and
Can
see
you
if Flory
imagine
can
Bill?
clean them up.
Can you imagine Bill like, all right, fellas, here's the plan. Diggy's gonna dribble up the court and he's gonna launch. Like, I would love that
Flory.
idea, but to picture Bill letting that happen is so funny.
We were talking
But
about the make a circle around like the old theory. Like, what if you formed a circle around Steph Curry
Yeah,
and just let him shoot threes?
don't hate it.
What about
That's
the
the 3 bigs now coming in.
what
handy.
about the Flint Tropics offense? Semi-pro with Will Ferrell.
Yeah, Jackie Moon?
Yeah. Run that.
First alley-oop?
Nope.
I'll say
There's
this
the alley.
about,
And there goes
I'll say
you.
this about Diggy. I'm
Travel.
all in on Diggy returning because I just like having
Ow.
guys that can make shots. And Peter's
stabbing himself.
injured himself. But I am slightly worried that Bill's going to like fall in love with Diggy in the offseason. Next thing you know, Diggy's playing 35 minutes next year, taking minutes from Peterson and El Marco, and we're back just screaming again. I don't think that would happen. But Diggy's a great backup point guard.
Before more talk about next year, I know this year's kind of like a lost cause, but we talk about rotation and guys who play. Like, what is your guys' ideal 5 on the court at once? If you had to choose. That's on the roster right now.
DeJuan, Zeke, Rylan, Flory, and Hunter. But could be talked into. No. I'm going with the 5 that we saw in that Houston game. I felt like that was the highest level we played. And
Flory was so good in that game.
So was Rylan. And I think there's part of that is that the offense is smoother for guys like Rylan when KJ is off the floor. And I don't want to get into the whole KJ should sit conversation like it's over.
Not happening.
But
he was like games like last night. What did KJ do?
What's up, Vern?
I was just fucking KJ. I feel it's like Beal has just put this guy in a bad spot, and like KJ should also be accountable because like he should have gotten better at basketball. He is like the least efficient player. Like I've got some crazy numbers, and I just like.
I mean,
bad.
it's
like people are.
Vern, it's probably. I don't.
Bad.
It's probably statistically his worst year here, right? I mean, field goal percentage wise and points per game wise, like
there's some wild shit. I haven't checked from last night. I'll take a look. Wait, was your lineup DeJuan, Zeke, Rylan, Flory, Hunter?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that lineup was pretty fucking good, and they've been good pretty much all year in conference play. And now I'm curious, like, so what if you do DeJuan, Zeke, Rylan? Oh, God damn it. Nick hates this. Okay. All right.
It's like angels in the outfield. The ghost.
What is?
When you disappear off the screen.
Into your background.
Oh, yeah.
Disappear.
Oh.
It's like Harry Potter when he puts on his little
Mitchell
cloak.
All right. The exact same lineup. DeJuan, Zeke, Rylan, Flory, Hunter. And then trade Flory and KJ. Guys.
Oh, no.
Guys, it's pretty bad.
Like, what's the difference?
All right. I can do plus minus if we want, but I was told not to do that. So this is going to be like per 100 possessions. They're like a minus 35 compared to KU's average. And then with Flory, so they'd be in the 8th percentile.
No.
And then with Flory, they're plus 36, 90th percentile. So they're 36 points better, offense and defense per 100 possessions. You know, you got to look at like who they played. Houston, not good.
Dude, that's the thing.
Crazy. I'm blown away by that.
I know TCU's not good and whoever else they beat while KJ was out, but they won road games by like double digits. When has this team ever won double digit?
They won at UCF by 50.
Yeah, that's true. And that was KJ, right? But
I was just going with
what if I take that lineup out, take the UCF game out and look at the numbers?
Yeah. I was curious if you could do that.
I can. It'll take me a minute.
What about conference play minus the UCF game?
I think we can confidently say that was an outlier.
That's why our defensive rating on KenPom that has to do with some of the crazy halves we've strung together, right? Defensively, because we haven't stopped anyone lately.
Well, K-State, we're still like at least top 10. We still might be 5 defensively.
That's what I'm thinking my brain.
Last night.
I need
defense
to find
or offense is in the 50s.
Yeah.
We got to be the easiest team to prepare for ever.
Oh,
very clear. Like, I gotta talk to some assistant coach. We gotta talk to an assistant coach, like off the record.
Last night just felt like Bill just wanting to piss us off with the starting lineup they put out. I laughed out loud when our KU Twitter account tweeted the starting 5. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
They hadn't played together all year. That 5 had not played together.
With that, we got out rebounded 10-3 in the span they played, and you have 3 bigs guarding a team that only shoots threes.
Yeah,
so they can't get out. They can't get out and contest it, and if they do, who's going to board for us? Because Hunter literally can't. The only time Hunter boards is when it fucking lands right in his hands. Like it has to be a magnet to his hand. He can't go get a rebound.
The dude is slow. People are like, he's not trying, and I'm like, I think that's Hunter.
I feel the same way, kind of.
I think like they want him to be something different than he is. And he's the only fucker that gets defensive rebounds, though.
He kind of gets the rap that he doesn't care, and maybe it's true, but I don't know how he could show he does, if that makes sense. Because he can't.
But at the same time,
he shows he cares by coming into the post-game press conferences and saying they weren't as prepared, and he takes some blame for that.
But
we've only heard that 117
times. Not to defend Hunter, because Hunter is he's not a gamer, he's not a winner. But like the thing that's been driving me a little bit insane is like even like CB's like, you got to play the guys that care. You got to play the guys that care. And I do 100% agree that DeJuan Harris and KJ Adams care more than anyone else on this team. I believe that. But also at the same time, you can't then turn around. KJ Adams has 2 rebounds the other night. DeJuan Harris goes 1 of 7 from the floor, shoots 0 of 5 from 3. And I know that's not all about care, but it's like, if you cared so much, play better. Like, I don't know if that's fair to say, but I get sick of the whole, they care more. You gotta start playing better.
Improve your game outside
what do they do?
Like, and I've said this before. Like, they show up and they do what Bill wants, which is great. But like, get in the gym. Like, it's too late.
I also, and I've had this take on DeJuan specifically, but KJ can kind of fit in. But DeJuan, before his best friend kind of like showed him off a little bit, was going to go to Missouri State to play basketball, was a 3-star recruit. Like, maybe he just hit his ceiling his freshman or sophomore year, and he can't get any better.
Get Nick on here.
Yeah, let's
get him on.
Like,
if you want a meltdown, like there's no one better.
Dude, he was awesome last night.
He's the best.
He always is, but
get him on here. Just don't let him go. He's so fucking funny.
I think he knows early, like in the seasons, like when a KU team has it or doesn't.
The McCuller one was the best. You get him to tell the McCuller story. It's so fucking funny. If he'll come on here.
Remember our pod when he was cutting out at the beginning?
Oh, yeah.
We were dying.
But like,
what's more likely? Kevin McCuller
DeJuan and KJ, senior leaders. What these guys have played every minute and been off on the road. And like, has DeJuan hit a ceiling? Maybe, but like, I don't think that dude is putting in time outside of practice.
You can become a better spot-up jump shooter, right?
It's a bad sign. He's gotten worse. Like,
I've never understood how you can play a sport 5 years consecutively, almost every single day, and not improve at shooting. I've never understood
that. Was always the assumption with KJ and stretching him out a little bit. Never once have we felt comfortable with him shooting the ball outside.
The off-season clips of him making 2 jumpers.
Stretching him out
a
little bit. Wow.
Thought of it, baby.
I'd like to be stretched.
Also,
all right, I'm sending Nick the invite.
Also, Juan was here the extra year before he even started playing, right?
Dude, it's guys.
COVID 2020?
These are leaders, and they have not carried the culture. Like, it's on them too. Like,
I agree.
I want to talk to Christian. I love those guys. They will run through a wall for KU. They're in the right place.
Yeah.
But the guys who improved over the years, like the Ochais, the Franks, Devontae's, like those guys got really serious at the end and like lived in the gym. And these guys live with a shooting gun, like a literal hoop that feeds them passes. Those things that still pretty clean.
Vern, can I ask another pointed question, I guess?
You can ask whatever you want.
Okay. I know you mentioned earlier it wasn't really players not liking players. This thought ran through my head last night when CB was tweeting. Do you think, I guess, what are the odds that Juan is just like unloading to CB? Like, I just kind of wonder what their conversations are like, or is it just CB watching as a fan and just like watching the same shit we are and having the same opinions we are?
I don't know, but I'm sure Juan and CB talk.
Yeah.
I assume CB is speaking for Juan. And there are guys that don't give a shit that play. I think, like, you can see it. Like, even AJ, like, Ryland's good, but, like, I don't think he's pissed about, at this point, like, I don't think he's pissed. Like, he's working the portal, and there's that. But there's also, like, Bill just keeps trying to do, like, the same guys, and then it's Ryland or AJ, and it's like, well, fucking Diggy or Shaq or, like, Passmore, like, do something, because it's just not working otherwise. And then also, like, as to the post-game blow-up, like, DeJuan was the one who shut it down.
Oh, we're so little.
Crossover pod.
Dude, we're doing it again, aren't we?
Oh,
I need a Kevin McCullough joke right now.
Are we ever going to be able to do this during a happy KU season? That'd be fun.
I know, dude. Who was AB? Was it you
this year? San Antonio, Final Four.
Was it you, Ryan? Who were like, can you ever have a prediction where something positive happens?
That's what I said.
Basketball?
I'm so tired of Nick being right about awful predictions, like
where
just
Nick was
things
right.
that stuck.
I wish I could go back and say like I was right about David McCormick the whole time. Like I knew that guy was going to come up huge in March.
Did you tweet that? I'm going to find some McCormick tweets. Can you tell the?
Oh my God!
Can you tell the
when Bill went into him against Dayton?
Oh my God, dude! That's what we said. That's what we joked about a couple weeks ago. We were like, "What if KJ has like a David McCormick finish to his career, where he hits the game winner in the Natty, and KJ's beloved forever? We have to act like nobody ever talked shit on him for 3 years."
I wish that was even remotely possible, but it's just not.
Okay. Let's entertain this. What if KJ just hits a game winner in the tournament? I would take that, right?
Oh yeah. It would be so funny just to see KJ pull up for a jumper to win a game.
He hits a game winner over Akron in round 1. That's his legacy. Like
would you guys be fired up?
Jumper.
Would you guys be fired up to make the second weekend, or would you even care?
Oh yeah.
I would.
Didn't we say that second weekend would be a miracle,
dude?
I said that in Nick.
Like I don't expect it. Like, would you care though? Like, would it move you?
I would convince myself.
7.
I would tell us
move. It'll move.
We're gonna make the Final Four if we make the second weekend.
But that's
Bill Self on rest. Bill Self with time to prepare.
Like
He's like Andy Reid.
Yeah, we go into the tournament and we're like, "Hey, second weekend, that's a win, that's a success." And then they get to the second weekend and we're like, "Well, I mean, how about a couple more?"
Yeah, anything happens once you're there.
Or a 6 seed and we meet a 7 in the Sweet 16.
Yeah, hey, if the bracket breaks our way. I love
this. Is going to be weird. This is going to be so weird when the bracket comes out.
Tennessee.
Because normally we're like, oh man, they gave us the toughest 3 seed in our region. This year it's going to be like, we got a tough 9. We got a tough 9 in round 1.
We have UConn. Oh, there's some electric 9 games, 8-9 games that we could see. So
we're on the 6 right now.
This is so sad. B turned text us yesterday, or maybe it was after the game. And he's like, which 1 seed do you want in the second round?
I think before the game, they were talking about how the winner would have an upper hand on the 5 seed in the Big 12 tournament. Like, fuck off.
Oh, dude, when they said that, I was like, is this how far we've fallen?
Yeah,
dude,
so quickly.
Middle of the pack.
Streak ended 5 years ago.
Can't believe we let fucking Utah in the conference.
I mean, Ryan's powerhouse. I mean, Ryan's joked about it, but he said we're only winning one more game. It's kind of tough to even make a case. Like previously, you could just fucking hand KU wins at Allen. Now you're losing to West Virginia as a 14-point favorite. You're blowing 6-point leads with 2.1 seconds left. So I can't even gift us wins. And two of them. I mean,
our home games are
against ranked teams: Oklahoma State, Tech, and Arizona. At Houston, I think we'll lose 78-32.
That had to be close to what the score was last year. What was it? It was something similar.
And he tried to play Kevin. He tried to play Kevin in the Houston game when it literally didn't matter, and he was already hurt, and he was about to quit on your team.
What a psychopath! I love that man.
Hey, Nick, were you listening when I threw the hypothetical out there? Not hypothetical. I got roasted for the question. What's more likely, Bill Self makes another national title game or he retires in the next 2 years?
Oh,
I know your answer.
I wonder if everyone roasted you for the same thing that I'm thinking, which is obviously it's answer A. I mean, we tossed it around last night. It's entered my mind a lot over the last 72 hours, the possibility that this is it.
I just feel like
can you imagine saying we have this combo?
You need to elaborate.
Okay, well, the way I see it is regardless of how bad a team is, Bill Self's had bad teams. Last year sucked, but last year was just not talented. They just didn't have dudes. And granted, this team's probably a lot less talented than we thought they were 3 months ago. But I've never seen what I saw last night. I've never seen a team just quit. Just we're not, this isn't it. And especially what happened the game before when they also kind of showed no fight. They showed no dog.
The best team in the country.
And I think when you bring in the factors of NIL era, transfer portal era, this is all new. This is all different for Bill. And he knows he's at the end, whether it's 1 year, 2 years, 5 years. He knows he's in the twilight of his career. And I just wonder, after another brutal season and the worst season of his, to have a team quit, we'll see how they respond these last 5 of the regular. But that's the kind of stuff that makes you reevaluate life choices. Do I really want to sign up for another year of this?
But I would agree. But the thing that has my hopes high is that he gets a fresh slate next year, and he's got pros again. And I know he loves what he's got. Nobody loves DeJuan, KJ, and Hunter more than Bill Self.
He cannot love what he has.
How many pros will he have next year, right? One.
Well, I think you have 2 probably first-round picks in the starting lineup.
Well, Flory's 6'6",
but again, Ryan, do you trust players 3 through 7 that are going to come from the portal?
Well, no, but I trust that Elmarco will play a little better. I'm not even out on
but then
Jamari
again, if
we're being a decent piece.
If we're trusting Elmarco to have a big bounce back season coming off an injury and then a season where he was disappointing anyway, he fucked his knee up, man. I mean, he might be good, but I don't know if that's just a back. I mean,
that guy puts in time,
but
outside
if we're gonna,
practice.
But again, if he's gonna be the linchpin of our season, then I think we're kind of fucked already.
No, I think Bill's not dumb. He's stubborn, but he's not dumb. I think.
But you know what?
Approach the portal differently.
This time last year, Mike, it was he knows. He knows he can't run KJ out there at the 4 next to Hunter. He knows it. What happened?
We won't let this happen again.
That's why
we'll never let this happen.
My point is that this KJ Adams broke Bill Self's brain. I'm convinced of that, and I think Bill Self has become too stubborn. But I don't think he permanently broke Bill Self's brain. I think you give Bill Self no option to play these guys, and it's a whole different story. But
I think you're right. And what do we have to do? What would it take to get Bill's spark back? What, a little illegal recruiting? What'll get his juice going again? We need some gray area shit to happen, Peterson to try to do something at the end, and Bill's got to drop a last-minute bag. Like, what'll get the old Bill back?
I do think just a killer point guard that's Bill Self's wheelhouse. I've heard so many people say, well, he's going to ruin DP like he ruined blah, blah, blah. Point guard's the one position you don't worry about with Bill. If it's a stud at guard, he's just going to hand him the keys and say, it's all yours, man.
He did it with Dotson as a freshman. Like, that's the thing.
We've always had one since he's been here. I mean, it's been A. Miles to what?
And it's funny though. It's funny how if they're not a scorer though, it doesn't work. Like DeJuan has not. Him leading teams as a non-scoring point guard has not gone very well, other than obviously whatever. And then you also have Marcus Garrett. Why the hell did Marcus Garrett play point guard for us his senior year? That's a whole story. Nadir Tharp was our starting point guard. Like, I don't know. Yes, I'm with you, Nick. Like, if Bill Self has a great point guard, that point guard's going to be good. But it's got to be someone that can score. And the good news is Darren Peterson can score. So I feel very okay.
What's his nickname? What do they call him? Jimmy?
Double penetration?
Doesn't he have a really funny nickname, Darren Peterson? They just call him like Jimmy Buckets. Bucket Jones.
Oh, that's so sick.
Yeah.
What if he doesn't work here? What are we going to do?
That's what I'm saying. Bill will retire.
Yeah, I think this guy's legit. He
better have the ball in his hands at all times. He better have the ball in his hands at all times.
Oh, well, that's not. Then we're going to need a different coach.
Ooh, I got a would you rather, not a would you rather, a hypothetical. What's more likely? Darren Peterson has a Josh Selby season, or Bill Self retires at the end of this season?
Bill Self retires at the end.
Wait, can we elaborate on what a Josh Selby season is in your mind?
Just massively underwhelming. Braden creates a new Jayhawk slant username. We want Peterson 23. And, you know, you might have 17-year-old boys driving to Chicago from Kansas City, leaving at 2 a.m. so they can get there by 11 to watch Josh Selby play his first game. Darren Peterson, excuse me. I did that as a boy. But mostly overall, just complete disappointment, bust, and we look back like, holy shit, it's just another, you know. I don't have the stats to back it up. I'm not that guy anymore, but.
You know what's sick about that is I was in the building for that USC game, the first Sully game.
Oh,
would he have like 26 with the game winner?
We thought we had it made.
It was so.
He's a star.
I declared him to be the National Player of the Year.
And that team was so good already.
Yeah, the Twins and Ty and
God.
We were one. That was the.
I mean, I don't see.
Is that VCU year?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
11.
I can't see Peter having that type of a season, but I don't know. Is it crazy to say Peterson could have what's an underwhelming freshman season, but was still playing big minutes and was like very much a contributor?
I got a perfect one. Oh, I got a perfect one. Xavier Henry, the forgotten one and done. The dude was like.
That was our first one, probably, right?
Yeah, statistically really good. Averaged like 13 a game, just kind of like a spot-up shooter. But that team got bounced by Northern Iowa, so it's just a forgettable season.
It was also kind of annoying that he was a spot-up shooter. Like you wanted it, you'd see flashes and be like, "Wait, why is this guy not slashing more?" And like, but still, you take it all day. But yeah, I could see Peterson having that type of year.
Remember the type of dumb shit Bill used to do? He's like, yo, we got to get Mario Chalmers. All right, well, you got to give my dad a job. Hey, we want Xavier Henry. Like, you got to give my brother a scholarship. Like, we need to get back to that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, if Darren Peterson has a 27-year-old,
you're muted.
If he has a 27-year-old cousin that like has remaining eligibility, I don't care if he's 5'11", like $160. Give him a scully.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We need to do something in the gray area.
Like giving
we need to do something in the gray area.
Why?
You mean like giving the Morris twins' mom like an administrative assistant role?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and get him like a house. Guys, my dinner's here. I love you all. Thank you for letting me join.
All right. Thanks for joining.
Sushi.
Good stuff from the Scoopsman. Wow.
Guys,
is that your DoorDash
I'll
driver?
see you in San Antonio. Final Four.
You already said bye. You can just go.
Honestly, correct me if I'm wrong, but for the expectations we had for Wiggs, I feel like people act like he wasn't that good as a freshman when he was statistically like one of the best freshmen we've ever had. But you're coming in, you know he's going to be the number one pick. Like you're expecting a guy to just carry you, kind of like he did we lost the game, but like the 40-point game he had at Westphal, and then he barely takes any shots against Stanford, and you don't make the second weekend. It kind of leaves you with a bad taste. Like, I feel like DP is going to have a crazy year, and then you got to have a March run to even live up to what works, especially after the last 2 years of Went. Like, we've only made the second weekend once since what, 18?
Oh my God, Brady.
Wow.
That's an insane stat.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're right.
11 years?
They were that close to losing to Creighton.
God. What would we be saying right now if we didn't have 2022?
Not sure Bill would be here.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah, that is fucking nuts. But I feel like Peterson is set up for success. Nick, before you got on, I did joke that like we're going to be sitting here next year with Diggy Coit starting and having the ball in his hands, and Darren Peterson like being an off-ball, non-vocal point.
Diggy's waving Darren Peterson off in the Champions Classic.
I hate that that's not that crazy to say, but nah, I think.
But I'll tell you this though. Going back to like AB earlier, you were like, how are the transfers like, or how are the 3 through 7 guys in the rotation who are all going to be transfers? Like, how are they going to fit? Where are you guys at on just like hitting the portal hard again this summer? I know it feels like it's a given, but I think you got to figure out a different strategy other than bringing in 5 new transfers. I'm not saying you can abandon it because you can't. But like
I agree.
Diggy, for example, I would take Diggy over random mid-major combo guard that you can go get.
That's why
maybe it affects you early on, but maybe it's a long-term thing that does work where, maybe next year they struggle. But if they stick around for 2 to 3 years, maybe you see some of Bill's better teams like you've seen back in the day where guys stick around. And
it's
so I don't know. Yeah, like a lot of first-year guys here just aren't that good. We talked about it last night. Like, who have we really hit on in the portal since it became where you can play first year?
But what I'll say is, like, I still think there's got to be a portal. It's got to be part of this. But I think it was when we got McCuller, to me, and we've made our jokes about Kevin McCuller, Nick's his biggest fan, but he was like a really good fit for what Bill and the staff did. And you paired him with guys like Jalen Wilson that had been here. And so I still think you need to be doing that stuff. But yes, I think you got to find ways to retain Zubies and Ernest and McDowell. Like, those are the guys that are going to get Bill Self back to what he was. You just can't rely on AJ Storr and Rylan Griffin to come in and all of a sudden know what it takes to play for Bill Self. And
maybe it's an excuse, but how do you expect them to come in first year and just have this insane love for Kansas too? And this desire to just want to play for Kansas? Like, yeah, you probably should, but I think the longer you're around and learn the ropes and see the other upperclassmen and how much it means to them and how much they care, then that's when it really makes a difference. So I agree. Like, Bill's best teams have been guys that stuck around. 2021 was the most embarrassing tournament loss I've ever seen. And then the next year, the same core wins it all.
Yeah.
I don't know. Fans of KU tweet the last time we lost by 34, we completely revamped the roster and won a national championship.
I'm still blocked by fans of KU, so
I am too.
It's been a decade. And it's been a much happier decade.
So Nick, to that point, like, I will say I love the idea of us not going all in on the portal, but it feels like next year is going to be really hard not to. Like, we just don't have that many guys currently on the team that are going to be
4
back,
seniors.
which is
okay. Let's do some math. I mean, how many roster spots realistically are you looking to fill this offseason?
4 for sure, right? You got Juan, KJ, Zeke, Hunter. I would guess one of Rylan and AJ are gone, if not both. What do you think about that, Nick? Do you think like Store's he's got to be gone?
I think Store's already given a soft commitment to like NC State or something for next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would guess they're probably both gone, but I don't know. Maybe they love it here. I thought El Marco was gone last offseason. So, and then you got how many guys in this recruiting class?
Tiller, DP, and
what's that guy's name?
Simus or whatever, isn't it? Calderon?
Calderon, yeah.
Okay, so that's
Jose.
Yeah, what does Clements do? What does Clements do?
I mean, you're
Clements
committed.
Clements just vibing. He's just vibing.
Let him go to school for free. Yeah,
it's basically a make-a-wish, like just getting to play for Kansas is, and I respect it. He's just.
I think they forgot to like dismiss him this past offseason, and then they showed up like for that fall camp or whatever, and they're just like, oh fuck.
He's here again.
Him leaving, going to a whole nother school for the whole season, off season, and then just showing back up.
So good.
Play.
It's so good.
Bring Cam Martin back.
Okay, so if you got 6 seniors, those 2 transfers leave. Let's just say it's 6, maybe it's 7. And you got 3 freshmen coming in. Yeah, I mean, if you told me, all right, you got to go get 3 transfers, but you're really only looking to fill like 1 rotation spot, 2 rotation spots, because I'm kind of with you, B-Turn. If you told me that, like, let's say the chemistry is better next year, guys get along, etc., but the team still like struggles a little bit, but that it set you up to bring back a really nice foundation the next season, I think I would take that, because everybody keeps saying, oh, you have to do it. You have to do it this way. It's the portal era. I'm like, do you? Like, Houston brought back a lot from last year. There are Gonzaga brought back but like there are programs who are doing it a little bit differently. Yeah. And clearly doing it this way doesn't work with this coaching staff.
Did Auburn bring back quite a bit? I mean, Janai was there last year.
Everyone they needed to
Baker
bring back.
Mazzara's like 26. He's been there for a while.
That Denver Jones kid, he was there last year.
So yeah, that's kind of the tough thing though, is that you have back-to-back pretty bad years. And if you next year, I could just see our fans being insanely impatient. But our fans also at the same time are saying that we need players to stick around because those are Bill's best teams. So
yeah, so to me, like, wouldn't the goal is you start Darren Peterson, El Marco, Flory, and then you're probably trying to find a really good fit, another really good wing in the portal. But if that's the only guy that hits, well, then you're just really hoping McDowell or some other piece works next year.
Is Tiller going to do anything next year, do we think? I've kind of given up on high school recruiting, so I have no idea how good he's supposed to be. But, like, are we expecting him to be a piece?
Kind of done getting excited about any of it.
I like that he's on campus and practice. I always think that's a good thing for guys.
Like a guy like
he's not like a one and done
Rakis.
dude. He's a hopeful program guy.
I hope.
I don't know, but a guy like Rakis passed. Like, that's a guy you need to keep around. Hope he develops. But then you see you see the seniors that are leaving now that Bill has a raging boner for. They haven't got any better.
I know. That's why I'm saying, like, they're outliers. This is a broken 2-year stretch. I'm convinced we will start to see things. And to Nick's point, like, I think Bill was genuinely excited to kind of, like, try. I think he felt like this new era was going to be something different and feel different. He gets to be kind of a GM, feels like the NBA. He gets to have a budget. He gets to go out and sign guys. And he tried it, and it did not work. And so I I just got to believe Bill Self's going to be smart enough to say, hey, you know what? That ain't working. And now we're going to we still have great resources, NIL. We're never going to lose that. So let's just use it to keep guys around the program that will get better over time. That's why I still have hope.
One more note on Dewan and KJ. There's probably either a clip from this podcast or text from our podcast thread talking about how they have a real possibility to be the most successful Jayhawk in the history of KU basketball after they won their first championship, because we're like, well, shit, Bill seemed revitalized. I mean, they're going to be here for another 3 years. There's no way they're not going to go
Remember
back
how
to
often
Final Four, win another championship. And if they get 2 championships, who else has done that at KU?
Remember how often I would say, hey, boys, did you know DeJuan Harris still going to be our point guard in 2025? And we'd be like, oh, my God, that's crazy.
We're going to win another.
Yikes.
Guards matter in March, like we always say.
This is a tough question to answer, but like what kind of player, because you're going to have to fill roster spots. What kind of players would you target in the portal? Like, how can you predict a guy is going to stick around for multiple years in the portal? Like you target a guy that you think is going to play with a ton of energy, or?
Well, let's start here. AJ Storr, like whatever that algorithm is that leads you to that answer, AJ Storr would have been at the very, very, very bottom of every single player in the portal. Of like, does this seem like a guy that's going to stick around? It's like, I don't know. How many high schools did he go to? 4. What college is this for him? 3. Yeah, probably not.
In 3 years.
Like they
had in 8 years.
They must have thought like, oh, well, he's going to go pro after this year. But even if you think that, it's like, what were you watching? The dude was 3rd in the country in shot attempts last year among power conference players, and that netted him 16 points a game. It's not like this dude was just like lighting it up every night. He's a chucker. He's a chucker who leaves after 1 year everywhere he goes. And Bill's like, yeah, he's a scorer. I'm like, is he though? Not really. Perry Ellis averaged 16 a game. He didn't lead the country in shot attempts.
I said it earlier, like he's a guy that has to have the ball in his hands, and even when he checks in and plays his little minutes, but what's the first thing he immediately does? I mean, he's launching or he's putting it on the deck.
You know,
it's unreal.
Peter, I thought about this last night.
I thought about this last night. I'm like, AJ Storr starts the game on a heat check. Like he's like, the first shot is a heat check. He skips right past like having to make a couple. My time.
Yeah, AJ Storr time fits better than KJ Lawson time.
That's what I was just about to say.
6 years earlier.
Honestly, I wonder what his ratio is this year of like passes made compared to like passes deflected, because he's either shooting or it's a post entry from the top of the key into the, like he's either getting ripped, turning it over, or it's a brick.
Dude, and his hands are bricks. Any ball that is lobbed to him, any pass on train, like it just goes
right. On through a lob right to him on a fast break last night,
and
just through his hands.
I get so angry, dude. This team makes me so mad, and it's that stuff where I just lose it.
Yeah, the AJ Storr thing just feels like one where someone reached out to the staff, was like, "Hey, kid needs a new home, and his girlfriend plays for KU hoops. Like, you got a guy that averaged close to 20 last year, was almost all Big Ten selection. Like, here you go."
Yeah.
Because like Nick said, that is the least ideal player to play under Bill Self. Like, there's no way he would ever say yes to a guy like this years ago.
Even like, I'm not even convinced. And like I said earlier, I'm not even convinced Rylan Griffin is the right fit to play under Bill Self because of the system he's coming from. Like, do you know how bored Rylan Griffin probably was when he got to practice at Kansas and was like, wait, I don't just get to chuck threes all day? This is so lame. Like, I think Griffin could still work here, but it doesn't scream like Bill Self type guy when I see him.
You know what's crazy about Griffin is, like, when you think about great shooters, aside from their ability to shoot, one of the things that like the elite ones, Klay Thompson, going back to like James Harden and OKC, they move without the ball. Ray Allen, they know how to get open. Like they just manipulate defenders and they constantly find just enough space to get it off. Rylan Griffin does none of that. He floats to the corner on every possession. And part of me is like, okay, so do you just like not know what to do? Do you not know where to go? Are you checked out? But it's so weird. It's so weird. Yeah. And it like that one's puzzling to me because I keep thinking to myself, like, how did this dude start on a Final Four team?
I know.
That's why, like, Nick, this part of you kind of, I know they could have developed as players, but do you kind of feel bad for Juan and KJ in the role that they're playing when they, if this staff didn't constantly whiff in the portal, they wouldn't be in a position where they're playing 35 minutes a night and getting just bashed by the fans. Because who would you play over them? Like who?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough for me to feel bad for guys who are playing 35 a night at KU. You know, they got it pretty good.
And making good money to do it.
And I mean, yeah, and frankly, it's not the coach's jobs to like hide your deficiencies. Like you're playing, so like you're going to be expected to execute. But it's, I mean, to your point, it's bad. You spent a whole offseason basically trying to recruit enough good wings where you wouldn't have to play KJ anymore, you know? And you whiffed on every one of them.
I mean, he said last year he was literally looking forward to next season. I've never heard him say that. And he said this would never happen again under his watch at KU, and proceeded to play the same guys that had him that down bad last year.
It's wild. But okay, so back to the transfer question, because it is like a huge concern. Is the answer you just got to find guys that come from a program where, like, do you just have to find guys that were coached by a similar coaching style as Bill Self's philosophy, which is defense first, dive for everything, hard-nosed basketball? Like, to me, that was like Kevin McCullough, but like Zeke's working. I would argue, I would say it's working. I don't know how everyone feels, but, and I don't know if that's how South Dakota State was, but I just feel like you got to have guys that come in and at least kind of get what he's going to demand of them every single day. But I don't know who that is. Like,
yeah, maybe they, just come from a winning culture. I don't know, or just simply guys that make sense. I don't know. That sounds kind of crazy, but like Zeke's a Lawrence kid. Kevin McCullough is a guy that just played his ass off and defended. Like, he was guaranteed to work whether he scored it well or not. AJ Storr and Rylan, like, looking back, obviously we were excited, but looking back, it just didn't really make sense.
I think the first question you got to ask these guys in the portal is like, why are you leaving? Why are you leaving your other spot? Like, I would want to know that if I'm talking to Rylan, say, why would you want to leave? You just started on a Final Four team who's like bringing back their starting point guard. Like, why?
Yeah, that is.
With AJ Storr, it's kind of self-explanatory. But like, that's what I'm starting, because if I don't get a satisfactory answer, that's going to make me say, I don't know if you're right for us. Because if you weren't happy there, if you weren't happy with your role there, wait till you come to Lawrence, bud. You're gonna hate it.
And it's like Bama had one of the best coaches in the country. Like, Nate Oates wasn't going anywhere. Just like you said, just made a Final Four, returning guys. I mean, the obvious answer on why you're leaving is what?
Yeah, no, it was money. Weird. It was weird that Rylan left, but God.
But if I'm Bill, I don't even want to play that game anymore. Like, I'm not just going to get you here by giving you the biggest bag, because at this point, don't you have to say, I'm done with that. Look at what it's got me. Nothing. The most embarrassing season of my career. No fucking way am I playing that game again. Or I'm just going to put a bag on the table.
I've got to go to bed after this, but I will say, just in conclusion, we have no idea how to handle the transfer portal. Our roster is very small and slim next year right now. And Ryan thinks that we're getting to a national championship game with Bill Self, and he's not retiring in the next 2 years.
No. Wait. Did you guys misunderstand my question?
That's why I kind of came around to it, because like if Bill stuck around for 8 years,
I'm saying
players on our team that work.
He could make one.
I'm saying I think Bill Self's going to be at Kansas for 5, 6, 7 more years, and so my point is, if he is, he can very easily make a national championship game. So it basically comes down to, what do you think happens next year? If we suck again next year, then yes, I think Bill's retiring. But that man is a competitive bastard. Why do we have so
much confidence we're going to be great next year?
Because he's been great 21 of the other 23 seasons or whatever he's been here. Like he's been,
and before he got here,
it sucked. Our 2 worst seasons were just these last 2 years, and it was the same group of guys. We're having different guys.
Ryan, but essentially kind of what you're saying too is that Michael Jordan, I mean, yeah, his 2 years with the Wizards weren't that great, but look at his other years. They're awesome. Sometimes Father Time just catches up. It's a completely different game now. It's like I'm not saying that he can't do it, but we're talking through it right now. What gives you any confidence?
He won a national title 3 years ago.
I get
Michael
that.
Jordan.
Dude, I understand that. With a roster full of dudes that had played with him for 3 or 4 years. That's not going to happen again.
That's what we're saying. That's what we just talked about,
Exactly. And now you're saying if he's not very good next year, then you'd be like, okay, yeah, I can see why he'd be gone. That's my point. I don't know that we're going to be very good next year. And I think just because we have a fresh roster, what's a fresh roster even mean? Like we've seen the last at least 2 years. We just don't really know how to handle it.
I see what you're saying, but it's going to be a more typical Kansas season, I think, where you see early struggles, but you also have a top 5 pick. When's the last time Bill Self's had a top 5 pick? You also have a guy like
Oregon.
So, like, I just think you're going to see the team improving. I don't know. I think
it's fucked up.
I just wanted to make sure you didn't think my hypothetical was, will Bill Self win a national title in the next 2 years, or will he retire in the next 2 years? That was not the question. The question was...
Okay, that's how I took it.
Oh,
yeah,
my God.
I didn't do it first.
Well, I was honestly like, I'm dozing off
It's not as bad as I thought.
To get off one more emotional take before I left you guys.
I love that. This will be a fun argument to scream at each other all off season about.
We'll probably look at it next year, and one of us will be thanking the other on Twitter or apologizing or however you want to say it.
I'm due to get one right.
Yeah, I'm due to get one wrong.
There's a good question in the comments for you, AB. Do you think Bill Self leaves to play minor league baseball like Michael?
Their team, there's got to be a team in Tulsa. The Tulsa Drillers. He'll go.
Wait, are the T-Bones still around?
They're the Monarchs now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They got to bring back the hit it here T-Bone in left field though. Otherwise, what's the point? You know.
Oh,
all right, man. Guys, I got to get to bed.
All right. Any other takes, boys?
just
AB comparing Self to the Wizards Jordan. That hurt. I mean, it's funny and it hurts a lot.
Look, it's apples and oranges, but it just kind of is the first one that came to my mind.
The more I think about it, the more it feels like very spot on. It's like, oh, he came back because he had something to prove. And you're like, oh, might not be much gas left in that tank, pal.
I will say to defend old Michael, his stats before he got hurt, he was kind of getting back to good old peak MJ, and then he got hurt. Mm-hmm. But that's beside the point. We won't talk about that and get into a whole nother argument because then we'll be up for another hour because Ryan's back in on LeBron being sick.
Oh,
yeah, you just gave him ammo.
I know. Well, it was cool of LeBron to say 12 minutes before tip-off on Sunday night that he wasn't playing.
How about him being in street clothes for the pictures with all the guys in uniform? It looks so stupid.
He couldn't just put the uniform on.
Just put the freaking uniform on, dude.
I'm back in on kind of not liking him.
Don't gotta like him. He's still the best player of all time. That's all.
All right, Mitch, hold this.
You'll respect the Chiefs. You don't gotta like the Chiefs. Or you could just my worry, and I know he's cemented.
You guys have fun.
Love you. My worry, and I know he's cemented, like probably best coach in KU history.
Why are you saying cemented like that?
Cemented? Yeah, that is weird. Cemented.
Cemented. Get it, guys?
Oh, yeah, that is kind of suspect of me. But
sorry.
No, you're good. It was kind of weird. But
all right, let's go. Get focused.
It's people are saying like, I don't want Bill Self to go out like this. Like he can't go out like this. What if it gets worse?
Like next year or just this
like
year?
they just missed the tournament?
Well, yeah. Like what if, because there a lot of people that obviously are athletes, coaches, they're so competitive. It's tough for guys to like hang it up. And what if like Bill, like what if it just downhill spiral for Bill? Like we end up missing tournaments and it's like 4 straight years of mediocrity. Like he can hang it up now as like a 5-6 seed and he won a national title his last few years at KU, or do you stick around and try to beat this portal era shit?
I mean, I look at it both ways. Like from one, because this is a new problem. Your team gave up on you. You were preseason number 1 and you're just absolutely imploding. So I could look at that one of two ways. It's like, is it Bill Self, the ultimate competitor, saying like, oh, a new challenge. I've never had to do this before. Watch this. Or is it Bill Self saying, I'm too old for this. I'm too old to start a new battle.
Yeah.
Because I think Bill kind of thought like he was just going to have dogs and they were going to run through the Big 12 this year. And then he was going to bring in the number 1 player in the country and then do it again. Like on paper, setting up pretty nicely. And now it feels like
number 1.
You're farther behind than you've been in so long.
That's true. And I mean, it's like if he goes back to the way he was doing it, then yeah, like he's already conquered that style of college basketball, like developing guys, and maybe that's just not worth it to him. I do think he, like you said, was very excited for a different way of doing it just because he had been so used to doing the same thing for years. But I still stand by, what is he, 61, 62?
Older than that, and he's like 65, 66, right?
It's gonna really make me sad if he's that old. I thought he
What's
just
the over under
60.
What's the over under?
I'm putting the over under at 62.5. I'd take the under though. I don't know.
Take it
He
over.
just turned 60.
Does anybody know?
He's 62.
Okay.
Nice pick. So my thing with him, my belief is like 5 years, 67. That's full retirement age for collecting Social Security. Like, why would Bill Self? I don't think he's old enough to just be like, not worth trying to like fix this. He's close, but like if he was 70 or 68, I'd totally agree. I just feel like he is a stubborn, competitive psycho that will want to get back to the top before he goes out. But who knows? I mean, it might just be too difficult at this point.
If we didn't sign DP, do you think more people would be talking about Bill being done after the season? Like if we didn't have a surefire lotto pick coming in.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, but you're never going to stop recruiting, so you're always going to leave some good recruit behind. Like
I've been bringing up him leaving.
Get a good guy next year.
Yeah, I've been bringing up him leaving, and even earlier, and people in the comments, I think maybe Vern was like, "Well, you can't leave DP. Like DP's going to be here next year." So it's like, I mean, you said it last night, Nick. Like eventually, you're going to have to leave. Like you're going to have you're going to have guys signed.
Yeah.
When you announce your whenever you do, like
Roy Williams left Aaron Miles, Keith Langford, and Wayne Simeon after like back-to-back Final Fours. Like when you're just ready to leave somewhere, it's never going to be the perfect time to leave. But it would be interesting if like our roster next year was just shit. And he was just like, like Tony Bennett just quitting at the beginning of the season, or the Miami guy just quitting in the middle of the season. Like it's wild the way some of these coaches.
What if he did that? I brought this up last night. What if Bill did that, but he did it on purpose so that we would have Darren Peterson? So he basically manipulated and lied to Darren Peterson. That way he was stuck at KU for a year under head coach Jeremy Case.
Oh, God. Would Darren Peterson's just leaving at that point and living off sponsorships on his Instagram story and then getting drafted in the top 5? I don't know. I guess the money will still be good.
Also, there's been a lot of comments about him decommitting. He's signed with Kansas, so I'm not sure you can really get out of that unless.
Yeah, but he can de-sign.
He watched us lose to West Virginia. He's staying. He saw it bad.
And also, high school kids don't give a shit about that kind of stuff. I'm convinced. Like, high school kids aren't on Twitter saying, like, oh, what are the burners saying after that one? Yeah. They're saying, like, oh, I'm the #1 player in the country. I'll fix it. It'll be my team next year.
Yeah, which is good. That's what you want a guy like Darren Peterson to look at this and say. And also, let's be honest, Darren Peterson probably doesn't care that much about whether or not he wins a national title next year. I hope he does, but why would he? Like, I don't think Andrew Wiggins. I remember Andrew Wiggins being like, I didn't even watch the NCAA tournament growing up. Like, because those guys just care about the NBA from day one. They're not college basketball fans like we were. There's some of them. Like, I think you have like guys like CB and Ochai that probably were, but I don't think Darren Peterson was filling out a bracket.
You don't think Darren Peterson has alerts turned on for Joe Lunardi?
Yeah, probably not.
I guess people in the comments, I guess, are mentioning guys that have signed that left, but that's kind of just us, almost like a mutual agreement, right? Kind of like just letting them out, like LeBaron, like the guy at Bama. Like, there's never going to be a situation where they're asking Darren Peterson to leave. Yeah, like LeBaron's like a guy to make room for others, which maybe we should have let him go.
This is an Adidas thing, right? Like, that's a big part of why he's here. So, like, I don't know, gonna go to Louisville, or are they even Adidas anymore?
Well, who was his hometown? Who was the hometown team that it was like kind of down to? That's Adidas. Where's he from? God, we're good at this.
I know he went to prep school in Napa Valley. I don't think they have a powerhouse out in wine country.
Yeah. Oh, Ohio State.
Oh yeah, but they're Nike.
And they're Nike, yeah. So no, there goes that. Yeah.
All right, well, boy, we did some melting down. That was what we needed. I don't feel better, but it was fun. Nick, thank you for hopping on.
Yeah, thanks for letting me crash.
Yeah. All right, John Doe, all the people that have been in this chat for a long time. Shout out to you guys. But yeah, enough melting down.
One more thing.
We'll tune
What's
in
the crowd
Saturday.
look like on Saturday? What's the crowd look like Saturday?
It'll be full, and it'll be fine.
I don't know if it's full. I mean, they'll report a sellout.
Yeah, well, I just mean, will it be noticeably on TV empty? No, but the corners or like the little upper area is probably not full.
It'll look like a high school game. They won't even have the bottom bleachers pulled out. They'll just be pushed up.
Wasn't that what they did during COVID or 2021?
Yeah.
That was amazing. So, all right, well, that's it. And I guess rock chalk, boys. See you later.
Later, dude.